Hi guys, this is Bickerton, and welcome to your 24th Roblox Lua scripting tutorial. Now, first of all, I'm going to apologise for the length of time that I haven't actually made a video. It was mainly due to the fact that I wasn't really that pressured to, or not so much pressured, inclined to, because no one was. The previous video has barely any views. I'm not sure if that's because people can't be bothered to get past the tables tutorial. Shame on you if you can't get past the table tutorials. You should be able to do that. But if you have, well done, and you've seen the next one. I saw someone complain that I wasn't making enough videos, so they unsubscribed to me, which was a bit ashamed of. So I'm going to try and bring out a video every week. Hopefully, be able to keep up with it. If the videos are coming out too quickly, then I apologise. Please tell me, and I'll slow them down again. But as it is, I've still got a lot of people who are still watching the videos, the earlier ones, and then giving up for the later ones. So maybe that's something to do with the fact that they're too difficult. Maybe I was explaining things too quickly, or maybe I was explaining things too slowly, and people are more intelligent than I thought who are on Roblox. If I'm explaining them too slowly, then please feel free to go to other tutorials if I am explaining things too slowly, but there isn't a lot of other YouTube tutorials out there, which is why I'm doing this one. And right, onto the scripting showcase. First of all, I've got to say about the contest. The contest at the last video was a competition where you had to debug a script that I'd given you to win the Robux prize. Unfortunately, no one actually answered that, so the contest is still standing. It's once you get good at debugging, it's a very, very, very useful tool, so you don't have to post in scripting helpers every single time you break a script and get lots of troll answers if you're bad at scripting or haven't done it or haven't just bothered to actually learn to script before posting in there, or learn to understand the output. So that's a really useful, and you win 250 Robux if you get that. So good job to you. That comes if you need to look at it. It's the end of the last video. If it's too below, I realised last time the screen recording software wasn't as high definition as I thought it was, so I'm going to have to zoom into the script again this time, but don't worry, should be fine. And now we're on to the scripting showcase. We have a model submitted by, if I can actually get to the model, if I can actually click on the model, there we go. It's called Minimaker, submitted by Thomas something or rather. We're going to go into the test play solo, hopefully. It will actually load in time due to Microsoft Visual Studio, Visual Encoder being the slowest thing ever to exist ever. So here's me. Let's walk on to Minimaker. Want to be oh, I've lost all my arms and all my legs. Want to be killed? Go over the... Oh, I didn't read it in time. Go over it a second time, I think it said. I didn't die. I did die. Oh, it's got a delay to it. That's one of the more interesting ones we've seen so far. So if you walk over it once, doesn't matter if you force forward on, you lose your legs. Want to be killed? Go. Yeah, it did say that. Want to go over the brick a second time. So I go over the brick a second time, and will it kill me after a few seconds, or does it? Yep, that's quite a good one. That would be a good sort of. That's a good trap to keep someone in a building. It's like a one-way door. Walk in, you will never get out. So, I'm gonna look at the scripts that see and improvements you get, etc., etc. This Thomas0233 wins 200 Robux. I'm gonna zoom in, and I said won't need to zoom in as much. So, first of all, he finds all the parts. We're using find first shot, which is good in case they doesn't exist, which is what he needs. So LL equals left leg, RL equals right leg, LA equals left arm, RA equals right arm, humanoid equals the humanoid. And then so if LL, so this is the if when he's trying to find left leg inside the person. I've realised what I was doing in previous tutorials is I was going over things that we've already covered lots of times in the further tutorials, which I didn't mean to do. So from now on, if something's already been covered before, and then I'm not actually going to cover it again, maybe more than a few seconds. So this one is going to call that. It's going to try and find is it nil, because if the left leg doesn't exist, this will actually return nil. So then it's going to wait one. It's going to remove your left leg, left arm, right arm. Wait one frame. It's going to change the name. And if you don't have your left arm, or left leg, sorry, you could be any of the parts. So, say if it could be something like, or LR doesn't equal nil, but that's not really necessary, seeing as it removes all of them at once. But maybe if, or you could do, you probably want to do answers. So maybe if someone uses a rocket launcher and it only blows his left leg off, but this doesn't actually work. But this, if you get shot by a rocket launcher and your left leg gets blown off and you walk over this, it'll kill you immediately, won't it? Because it only detects left leg. So what it should really do is and RR doesn't equal nil, and then so on and so on. Or it would be even better to, but it's not really necessary. So say if you're in a place where there'd be loads and loads of explosions, and there's a chance that you might walk on it for the first time without your arms or your legs, but still surviving, then you might have to insert some kind of object value with a very weird name, so that nothing else would ever get the name, and then put that in here and use the find first child on that. But overall, it's good. So then we're going to use on this. First of all, I also need to talk about this. He didn't use local variables for any of these. Now that's bad. You should be using local variables. So it instead defines it only to the scope of the script instead of to the. It requires loads more power, memory, whatever you want to call it, to actually. There's a technical thing that Straven posted. I'll try and find a link to it in scripters. If I can, I'll read it to you at the end of the video. I don't understand half the stuff that Straven says. Straven is ex-LegoX, by the way, but he posted a thing about local variables and stuff, so I suggest you go and read that in the scripters forum. Don't post in the scripters forum if you don't want to be trolled the hell out of, by the way. They're not very nice people, most of them, unless you actually know what you're talking about. And so it connects it like that. So, also, this guy's brought off a very good point. Or you could use destroy or parent equals nil, but I prefer remove. Well, what is especially important about this part is you have to pay attention to this. I was thinking about doing this as a small other video, but I might just put it into this one instead. Remove has now been deprecated, which means that it's not going to be updated, maintained, whatever. It's not the correct method of using things anymore. So instead of, there's a function that you should be using instead of remove. There is another one, but I think I will put another separate video just shortly about this. I'll just move out of the way of that. I'll do a video covering this in more detail, but basically, remove is no longer the correct method to using. You should use destroy. There's a slight difference. You would prefer, if you were a script and you knew what you're talking about, destroy would definitely be a better method to use for some reasons which you probably wouldn't understand at the moment. So then I'm not sure why he didn't want to use destroy. Maybe it wasn't deprecated then, or maybe remove wasn't deprecated. Sorry, but destroy is a better nil. Parent.nil sort of isn't the best way to do things. But destroy calls it on, like, it's basically the same as remove. There are slight differences, as I said. I'll cover it in a later video. So well done, this person wins 200 Robux. Make sure you, Thomas0233, make sure you message me with a link to a shirt or so on, so I can actually buy it. And remember, it was Builders Club only. So you can submit your own models to the scripting showcase. Has been added to the scripting showcase set. You can take any of these models, and they'll also be published in my places. So now we go on to the tutorial, which is going to be to create minigame script. So I'm just going to create a new place here. First of all, I'm going to save it, minigames. So now, first of all, what we're going to need to do with the minigames is, before we go into any more advanced detail, I'm actually going to make a script, and this is usually the best way of doing things. Make a sort of outline structure so you can see where if your structure goes wrong. So, for example, if you program in the details that goes along, and then you realise that because of the logic that the way your script works, something else won't work, then that's obviously a bad situation to be in. So what you should do is by putting things in a structure or planning it first, so that you don't have those problems. With small trivial projects, there's not much. If you want to make an actually big game, and then it's probably a good idea to do. So I'm going to insert a script and call it main. So as I said, we're going to make the correct structure to script. So what we're going to do here is, obviously we're going to need a main loop. You don't actually definitely have to need a loop, but I prefer to use loops. You could use recurring functions, a function that calls a function that calls a function, and once it gets to the last function it calls the beginning one again, but I prefer to use loops. It's a generally better way of doing things, in my opinion anyway, and I'm sure lots of other people will agree. I think it might be actually sort of officially better way to use a loop, at least when you're using other projects non-Roblox, and you definitely need to use loops. There's no other alternative. So I'm not going to do while wait do, because that's generally, actually I am, because I can't be bothered. While wait do. So first of all, for our minigame script, what we're going to need to do, what generally happens first in minigames, do you think? It chooses the minigame. So first of all, we're going to before we go any further than this, we're going to set it so that you can create minigames, and every minigame you create, we're going to put in lighting. So the minigames that we create will have their own scripts that run the minigame, and they'll tell us the winners and everything inside themselves. So for example, one example of a minigame that's finished, so we'll just insert a model here. So we'll call this minigame swords. We'll call this minigame pigs actually, because this is the best minigame. And so inside pigs, we're going to insert. I'm not going to use that insert. That's just stupid. I'm going to go into here so I can actually get the parts I want first. Into here, they've changed this. Let's see. We're going to have a plastic part here. So I'm going to go in and move it. I'm just going to make it sort of a base plate. And then put that inside pigs, and we'll call that base plate or something. This is going to be our map, so we're just going to have the map generally. And then after this, we're going to have, we'll obviously have some kind of script to make the minigame work, but we're not going to worry about the script now, seeing as we're not actually make this is just a test minigame. And then we're also going to have variables inside it that our main script can check for. So you might be wondering, how on earth would our main script be able to check with our minigame who's won, who's lost, whether to kill everyone, whether the time's run out? Well, we're going to have these. We're going to have values like ball values and stuff. So we might have that tell us. So in our main script, in our loop, we're going to be checking whether the minigame that we've just loaded has the values to certain. So if, for example, if the time value is less than 0, then we're going to end the minigame. Or if a value, say, players all killed, or if a winner's been determined, or so and so on and so on. So just for now, we're going to leave it as a winner. We're going to leave the winner as a, I'm thinking a string value, not an object value. Actually, no, we're going to go with an object value, because object values are only buggy when you're actually trying to use them in studio, not in game, thankfully. It's generally better to use things, but what I mean by objects is, rather than using everything. Say you wanted to track the base, for example, you'd want to track workspace.pigs.base rather than the name base and hope it's somewhere, because there might be multiple things with base. The same with players, so you want to track the object of the player. The reason I was umming about object values is because they're very buggy when you use them in studio. They keep resetting themselves for no reason. At least they did when I last tried to use them. So object values are basically kind of value, like a number value where you insert it, you can name it, and you can just set a value to like 1, 2, 3, or 4. Object values, you can name it, and and its value will be some kind of object. And in this case, we're gonna in the script inside here, we're gonna set the value to whoever. So we're going to name this winner. So that's the winner of the game. I'm going to zoom in here again. So first of all, what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to... Oh, I forgot to cover one point. We're going to need to move this into lighting. So as you can see, we can just drag it into lighting. Actually, we can't drag it into lighting from there because it's dumb. Roblox Studio is stupidly made. We're going to cut and paste it into lighting. So basically, this means it's all still here and everything, but you can't see it. You can if you click there, you can see the... of it. You can actually do that in it, which is kind of funny. But you can't actually see it. No one can. You can't fall through it. You can't touch it. Anything in game. I'll just die immediately if I spawn there. I'll just fall down. And so basically, what we're going to do, we're going to store a table of mini games. And now these mini games are going to be all models like these with a map and the winner stuff inside them. So what we're going to need to do, we're going to need to check whether. We're going to need to store a table in here. This is why I said tables are very important. We're going to need a table of minigames equals a table. And then we're going to fill the table in with elements. So we're going to, first of all, we're going to loop through game.lighting to try and find those minigames. So minigames, why did I type that? We're going to need to loop through it through the lighting, and to do that we're going to need to loop through the get children of lighting, and to do it we're going to need it in pairs. For IV in pairs game lighting get children. I'm trying to type quickly now. It's not working. Oops, I forgot to do. And then after that, we're going to check whether thing in lighting is a model. For example, other things in lighting, it's like skyboxes, can go in lighting, which we don't want to actually use. So we're going to need to check if they're a model first. Otherwise, if we wanted everything in lighting to be a minigame, we could just do minigame equals game.lighting get children. Oops, with a capital C. And that would, because this returns a table, remember, this is just everything inside lighting as a table. but we need to check whether so only certain things. We need to filter out the ones we don't want. So we're going to go if v, and there's a function called isA. Now this checks whether there's certain things class name, for example pigs. If you look at class name, it is model. So we're going to check if it's a model. So if v is a model, then v table.insert minigames v. So that's going to insert that into table. We're going to end that. We're going to end that. So that will be it. So now the first thing we want to do in our main loop is obviously to choose a minigame. Now we might not want to make this more advanced later on. So we're going to add this in a function choose minigame in case there's certain things we want to do. Change function choose minigame, and this is going to return the minigame that we want as a model. Choose minigame. So for now we're just going to stick with random. So return, it's going to return a random element in the minigames table. Return minigames, and we're going to, so for the random number we're going to use the math.random, which I covered in the previous tutorial. We're going to go math.random, and then in brackets 1, which is the beginning element of the table, and the maximum, the length of the table, which would be hash minigames. Is that called the hash? I'm not sure. Sharp, whatever you want to call it. Bracket, square bracket, done. End. So now we've easily got to choose. We've got the chosen minigame. So we're gonna local variables. Remember, that means this variable will not be accessible and use less memory outside this. So local minigame. I'm just going to put mg. I'm just going to use m for equals. Choose minigame. I'm sorry, my throat's a bit sore now. And then after that, we're going to need to obviously run the minigame. And this is a bit we're not going to cover in exactly this tutorial because we're just going to cover the structure because there's enough time in this tutorial. We're going to do that in the next tutorial. So after the minigames have been chosen, we're going to need to run them. Obviously, I'm missing out stuff like showing messages, for example, that will say, we have 20 seconds until the next minigame. The minigame has been chosen, and stuff like that. So I'm just skipping it out for now. So after it's chosen a minigame, we need to run the minigame. So we're going to run the we're going to create a function first. That would be a good idea, without just writing function run minigame. And so in brackets here, we're going to just accept a model. So this is the minigame we want. Actually, I'm just going to use mg for the short for minigame. So it's going to give us a model in here, and now the model that we want to run. So say when we're in here, we're going to be using run minigame m. Now m is choose minigame, and so what choose minigame return, and that's something in the table. And the table, remember, so basically m is going to be something in lighting. Now obviously we can't just randomly use this. So first of all, we're going to need to load it into workspace. So this, I think this function will be better as load minigame. We want to keep the function separate. So load minigame. We need to load it into workspace. So now there are probably going to be more advanced steps to loading a minigame. So first of all, we're going to need to, for example, actually, definitely, we're going to need to clone this. We can't just use this because this is in lighting. We need to clone it. And so local m is the clone of minigame. Hooray. So now we've got our actual one. We're going to need to set its parent, m workspace, whoops. The m's parent is workspace. And because m's parent is workspace, we can now actually see it in the game. So after that, we're going to teleport all players to that spot. Now obviously there's going to be loads and loads of other instances which are also going to need to teleport players. So, but first of all, we'll probably actually need to, later on, we're going to need to determine which players are actually playing, or say if they've opted out of the next game or something. So we're also going to need another function, which is going to, this is going to be lots of functions obviously, which is as in every language and especially Lua. So also we're going to be using a function get. Well, what would be the best name to use? Get participants. And so this is going to return a table of all the players that are actually in the game. And for now, that's everyone. So we're just going to return game players. And end. And so in our load minigame, we're going to need to teleport all the players. And so there's obviously going to be... We're going to want to create a function for teleporting as well. We're just going to... We're not going to fill that function in just yet. So function teleport players. And this is going to accept... We're going to make this take an argument, and the reason for that is I don't want to create another function teleport participants, and then teleport non-participants, and then teleport all, and then teleport nobody. There's not really a function for that, but whatever. So we're just going to put teleport participants. What? No, we're not. We're going to put teleport players. That's exactly what I said. We're not going to do teleport players, and then we're going to say players. Whoops! I need to make this actually return it. So yeah, so now we can say in this, now here we, in here, I'm not sure if we'll put it in load minigame, we might put it in a separate thing. What would be the best? Should we put it in load minigame? No, we'll use that in play minigame we'll teleport the player, so we'll just leave it as that for now. So teleport players is just gonna, let's put a comment, move all, I'll use to do. To do move all players. Obviously we're going to need to tell the position, so position end. And so when we load, after you load the minigame, you're then going to need to run the minigame and so on and so on. So there's going to be run minigame, and now we're going to create a function run minigame. And so this is gonna teleport all the players to the minigame, and that will probably determine the positions to teleport them by some value in the actual minigame, but I haven't yet decided. So because we're running out of time in this tutorial, I'm going to just leave it as this. Teleport all participants, or I remember. We'll fill in the to-dos next time, or next time we might even fill more of the structure of this. Teleport all participants to the correct locations. So, and also that's gonna run the script in the thing, set all the timers and stuff, and it's also gonna end when there's a winner. So we're going to need a loop inside here. So inside here we're going to say while. So there's obviously going to be a timer inside there. So we're going to ensure that there's always a value in every winner game. At the moment, winner, and now tab out a int value. Time. So in every minigame there's going to be winner and time. There'll probably be some other stuff later. Actually, definitely will be. While minigame dot time dot value is bigger or equal to 1. I'm just going to put more than 0. Then, no, not then. Do I must remember that. So while there's more than one time left, because that's going to be operated by the script in the minigame, and then. Check in to do. Check to see if game is running, and if it's not, then we're going to want to end the minigame, but we're not going to do that in here. We're going to end minigame, and that's we're going to just award the points and stuff, but we really don't have time for that. We've pretty much run out of time in this tutorial. So I'm just going to leave this completely blank. So there we have it. We've got the very basis. We've got some of the structure, and we've got an example mini game so far. Hopefully we'll be able to understand this. So far, if you've got any queries, please message me. Remember, there's a Blade Master Elite's a grand tournament in March, so I won't be able to do any videos around that time, but it shouldn't be any problem for the next video, I don't think, unless I have some history coursework that I need to revise for, but I shouldn't do. So remember, you can submit your models to the scripting showcase. You get 200 Robux for each model. Builders Club only. Anybody, not just Builders Club, can actually submit the model, but only Builders Club will be able to get the Robux for obvious reasons. Don't worry, you can always enter the contest, and your models will still be submitted into the scripting showcase set, and will be published in the scripting showcase place, and your name will be featured in the next tutorial, and your script debugged, and see if there's anything that you could use to improve it. Make sure you try and have a go at the contest. It's really useful for debugging. You win 750 Robux if you get that. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Remember, likes and views. The more likes and views, and not really favourites, just the more likes and views the video gets, or comments, for example, please like, view and comment the video to make sure that I actually, not to make sure, I'll make a video and another video anyway, but it makes it more rewarding to make a video better, make me more inclined to actually make a video quickly. I'll go, oh look, people like the tutorial, I'll make another one, whereas otherwise I go, oh, no one's watched it yet, let's wait a bit, when I can't be bothered to make a tutorial. So thank you for watching for this one. Like, subscribe, comment, whatever, and I hope to see you in the next tutorial.